What is up, real estate rock stars? This is Christina Leavenworth out of Pensacola, one of your real estate rock star hosts. Today, we are talking to Cory Williams, aka Cory the Guide. He is out of Colorado. And what I love about his interview is the simplicity to how he has shaped his entire business, how it's all about contribution. What can I give to others? And you won't believe what it's done to his business. Without further ado, we are joined with Cory Williams, aka Cory the Guide. Awesome guy, awesome beard. I hope people are tuning in on YouTube just to see your beard. We're so excited to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to rapping a little bit with you here today.
Awesome. So let's just start with the basics. Tell me about how long you've been in real estate. Tell me about your real estate journey.
Yeah, so it's been about a decade here. Prior to that, 15 years in the construction industry. So, I kind of found myself just kind of sitting there saying, okay, well, what do I know the most about and how can I further my career? Oh, houses. I should sell those. So, went from remodeling kitchens and bathrooms to selling houses. And, that transition was really smooth and sort of logical, but I couldn't have done it without kind of finding the right guides along the way. So, as I'm kind of sitting there one day in my office and my boss pops off in a meeting and I'm like, okay, well, today's the day. It's like, okay, who am I going to be able to find that can help me along this way and this new path, this new career? I just want to kind of stress the importance of finding that right person, kind of like Danielson did with Mr. Miyagi. 10 years in the business, and I always wanted to coach, train, mentor. That's my passion. And so always kind of had my eye, on the prize for that. But it's been an amazing journey guiding my clients through, one of the biggest decisions anyone makes, and that's, buying or selling a home. So gaining shelter. So it's been an incredible journey. So looking forward to breaking down a few things here today.
So rewind to you leave the construction industry. Yes, you know houses, but real estate is a totally different beast. You can know everything about a house, but you have to go fishing and find the people that actually want to buy and sell them. Talk about how you first got going and then when you realized I need help, I need a guide, and how you found that person.
It was like, all right, I have this confidence in the fact that, like you said, I do know homes. I understand electrical and flooring and doors and windows and structural systems. And I know every countertop out there. And I know how homes are built, especially in the Colorado area. And I said, okay, how can I find someone that bridges that gap? And I found Michael Beninati. He was a guy that was in the construction industry with me. And of course, I had been building relationships for 15 years. And so, you just brought up a really important point. And for those listeners out there that are listening, this is a pro tip. You have to find people that you can help. Okay. And so there is this kind of thought process, and I don't know about your market, but here in Colorado, Christine, it's been rainbows and butterflies for a decade. In the past 2 years have been a little different. So this is really important because for me, it was like, okay, I know all these people. I built all these relationships. Now I can go and serve them in a new and powerful way. And so I found that person in Michael that showed me how to shift the way that I served people. And I've always had a servant's heart. And so Michael helped me bridge that gap. And, people would say, "What's it like being out of the construction industry?" And it's like, I'm not. I'm just serving people in a new way. So, there's people I think have a misconception about this business. Well, if you just get your license, that you're all of a sudden going to have these clients that just start pouring in. And the reality is you have to be proactive about serving those folks and bringing value. And so, Christina, what it was for me really was to find ways to meet people where they were. So, what does that mean? Well, not everybody's looking to buy or sell a house. So, how do I serve those people? Well, for homeowners, it was pretty simple. It was like, hey, or if you're thinking about doing a roof project or a kitchen project or a bathroom project, you should call me. Number one, I've got a lot of great guys and gals that can help along the way. But number two, maybe you say, how much should we spend on a kitchen and not price ourselves out in the neighborhood? What should we spend remodeling our master bath? What colors should we use? You know? So being that guide and that resource, regardless of where people were in their journey, was what really helped me, establish myself in the industry, and built a great foundation for the propulsion that was to follow.
And I know you now have a team and you mentor newer agents, probably agents that have also been in it for a while. What is the biggest tip you're giving them that is really moving the needle for them?
What's the biggest tip that I'm giving people? Well, I alluded to it, Christina, and that is really to give first. And so when you're in a contribution, that's really when you're going to set yourself up for success. It's like, how can I contribute in a powerful way to meet people where they are? And so we are in a time right now where everybody is vying for people's attention. And so we want to be the person that people think about when they think of real estate. And so how can we position ourselves as that guide, as that resource for people? And so for me, it was clear I could be resourceful in terms of providing great contractors and things of that nature. And so, what I do is I sit down with my agents and we put together a customized business plan of how are we going to approach this? Because somebody might be, coming out of a medical field, like I've had nurses that have wanted to transition into, I've had teachers that want to transition into. And so I was able to serve people in that way. However, a nurse would serve her people in a different way, in a different caring way. And so I think it's like looking at how can you be genuine and share your gifts in your heart with people in an authentic way. And then when the time comes, you're kind of that person that they think about, whether it's helping them or maybe helping a friend or family. So I've just never been the guy that's like, hey, let's go find some Zillow leads and let's, hammer for sale by owners and things of that nature. And so that's the type of mentorship and coaching that I do is I teach people how to lead with their heart and build a database of people that know them, like them, and trust them.
So, going to the example of the nurse getting out of it, what does that look like? Are you having her, like, would you suggest she's calling her sphere and saying, something about tying it to medicine and just like how I took care of you when you were sick? I don't know, like to explain the system there because I have so many agents. The last thing they want to do, kind of more that they'd rather call a Zillow lead than call their sphere or someone from church and ask them for business.
That's a great question. And it is so true. I don't know about, we're in the real estate industry. So we get hammered with phone calls. Our phone numbers are on the internet, for God's sake. So, I've got people that just call and hang up and text messages about, your toll is overdue. And it's like, my goodness, we're just inundated now. So, how do we do that without bothering people? That's at the root of serving people. And so one of the ways that we can do that is this is an extension of meeting people where they are. So I'm going to the hospital because I know what nurses are working long shifts and it's tiresome. And, by the end of their shift, they're just, worn out. So what do they know? Well, what do they need? Well, I don't know, breakfast, lunch at the end of their shift, right? Maybe they need a little care package. So I'm a big pop by fan, where I like to go in and it's like, hey, let's bring 10, 15 little nurse kits. Or I've had people that all their community is rooted in, the volunteers for um, the dog adoption pet place. You got it. And so it's like, okay, great. So we can bring little baggies and hand sanitizer. And what do we know that they're going to need? And so, number one, meeting people literally in their place. And then I'm a big events based guy. And so, finally we're starting to pick back up on events. So I always want to have a great little get together or something that I'm planning, where I can invite people, not a pressure situation where, it's like, oh, my goodness, like every time you call, and we're going to get to that in a second, because I believe that there is a way to genuinely engage in that space. However, I do want to make sure that that's not what I'm always doing. I want to be contributing twice as much as I'm asking. There's nothing wrong with asking, Christina. My goodness, we know that, if we're in this business and we're not confident about the level of service we're providing and the way we're serving our clients, we're in the wrong business. So I know that when I'm connecting with someone and I'm asking them to support my business, I have confidence that I'm going to serve them or their friends or their family in a powerful way. And so I have no problem asking for that, but it's like, okay, how can I have taco night? I have an annual Mactoberfest. It's a mac and cheese contest. Last year we had a band and we had 120 people over to the house. So it's just connecting with people in that way. And then with the 120 people, you're spending like this. So I also have just smaller little get togethers, taco night, burger night, those types of things where it's like I invite people into my home, to connect with them. And so those are the types of, kind of event based marketing that I do. And now our brokerage, we've got a Rockies game today. We've got a zoo day coming up. So just a great way to connect with people in a fun way. Have some time for that interaction. Now, phone calls. Okay. People would rather call a random person than someone they know. Okay, that's fair. It's absolutely fair. And I talked about kind of my first guide, Michael Beninati. Well, now I'm in a new season, right? Now I'm in a new season where I found another guide, Austin Chevron, with the Chevron coaching team. And so, Austin coaches his people, and he's been doing this for a long time, to make those phone calls and to know where your person that you're speaking to on the other line is. And he uses just sort of a farmer's analogy. Is it a seedling? Is it a plant that's grown, and or is it a plant that's now producing fruit, or is it a plant that's now ready for harvest? And so, just like any seed that is planted, it takes time to germinate and grow and produce fruit and then be ready for harvest. And how do we do that? By the methods that I'm talking about, by contributing to people, by showing up in their lives, not just when you want something, but when you're willing to contribute to them. We know that social media is massive right now. So, how do we connect with people on there? Make sure that we're keeping up with people's lives. So, I'm typically, I'm going to kind of, here's a pro tip for people: get on social media and check out what's going on in people's lives before you make the phone call. Let's talk about Little Johnny's award, or let's talk about what the new job that they just got at work, and celebrate that. And so, I use a pretty simple method like, hey, how are you? Like, because I genuinely care about people. I want to know if there's something I can do. So that's part two. Is there something I could do for you today? Okay. What's something on your to do list that I could make to done? And that might be an introduction, or, whatever the case is. And then lastly, if you're interested in helping me, here's how you could. Okay. And so it's just a simple approach with starting with contribution. And then, like I say, if somebody's on the other line and they're like, oh, God, this guy, oh man, he just asked me to support his business. I don't want to talk to this guy again. They're just not my people.
Yeah,
They're just not my
100%.
people. So,
So I'm definitely the have people over for dinner type. I like events. I'm very extroverted. I do have people on my team though. They're exhausted by the end of the day. They have been running around showing houses. They're dealing with contracts, and it just overwhelms them to then think, okay, now I'm going to have people over for dinner and continue to build that pipeline. So you're not so much on that Zillow roller coaster or whatnot. What is your advice to someone in that position where they're brand new, they're exhausted, and the thought of trying to have people over for dinner all the time and go and drop off donuts is just not their jam?
But whenever I run, that was one of the podcasts I would listen to on my rotation. And so that's how I really got started with Real Estate Rock Stars and was interested in the mastermind. Dang, I've got so much value out of the podcast that I obviously wanted to be there. And I've gone every year since.
Hey, you're going to come out here and we're going to teach you about some lead gen. And we do plenty of that stuff. But what really happens is people leave with their lives changed. Listeners, if you are thinking about coming out, find me on Instagram. I've got links and stuff on there. You can DM me for info. It's at Aaron Amuchastegui. Or you can go to our website, realestaterockstarsmastermind.com. We've got two options for ticket. This week is $900 for a single ticket. Or you can do a payment plan where you do like 4 payments of $250. So you can lock in a ticket. So guys, if you're out there, you think, man, I wish I would have gone to that. That's something that I need next year. I know it's hard to buy something like 10 months ahead of time. Be like, why would I do that? Why can I think so far ahead? But hopefully you can be a little inspired. Do it this way.
yeah, that's fair. So you're going to have to build it, and one way or another. How do you want to do it? What is your jam? Okay, so I have many different feeds of people that come into my life. What does that look like for me? Well, church, I'm involved in church. So I meet people there. Okay. There's hiking clubs and biking clubs, and you may have people on your team that enjoy yoga. So get out there, do the things you love, find your tribe, find the people that are your jam. Find a great networking group, or better yet, start your own with other great professionals that have a like mindset. Listen, sometimes you have to start with people you don't know. You want to call for sale by owners? I will show you how to do that effectively. And you guessed it, it's a contribution first model. So I'm going to help a for sale by owner sell their house by themselves first. Most people call and say, well, you need an agent right now. Well, no, they're trying to sell their house first. So let me help you get what you want. The great Zig Ziglar said this, and this is a pro tip for the listeners out there. You can have everything you want in this life as soon as you help everyone else get what they want first. Now, that is a really, really awesome quote, and it is a great way to live. Caution to your listeners out there and to anybody in this business, it is also a recipe for burnout. Okay. In any of us top producing agents, we know that burnout is around the corner, because we are bringing people into our home. We're working all day long, and we're working in the evening. Like you said, you've got agents out there, they're showing houses and they're worn out, and it's just,
And they come home to their 3 kids to do homework and just life
in the midst of building this business. And so we have to be very cautious. And I mentioned my guide, Austin, earlier. And so my team, we implement the Chevron coaching model, which has run rest cycles in it. Christina, have you ever heard of the Iditarod?
I have.
The dog sled race
Yes.
in Alaska? Okay.
Yes.
So for decades, and it was a tradition that these people would do this race in, I don't have the exact stats here, but let's say 12 days. And somebody would maybe do it 3 hours faster, or 2 hours faster. And so it was always this, like, right in the same range. And this guy came along and he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to rest my dogs and I'm going to rest myself during the race. And I'm going to go faster and farther than anyone else. And he set a new record by like a day and a half. And so it was this concept that people were so foreign to. And now the Iditarod Foundation hired this guy and they implement his strategies. And this guy won a Nobel Peace Prize for having the longest living dog mush pack, and all these things. And so we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves in this process as well. And so, so just a pro tip to the listeners out there: make sure that you're recharging and that you're taking care of yourself. And you said it best, like, if you've got family at home, family first. And I've always coached my agents on that. Like, family first. You need something, you call me. You need a lifeline, you call me. We're going to come together as a team and we're going to support you. So I would just, let people know there is a season for everything. And so we run and do our prospecting and outbound things Monday through Thursday, 3 weeks a month. And we rest on Fridays, not rest like rest sometimes, but rest like working in your business as opposed to on your business. So, and I said that backwards, but you get the idea. On Fridays, we're going and getting our nails did and getting a beard trim and taking the kids here or doing this. And then that last week, we're doing the housekeeping stuff for our business, maybe the housekeeping stuff for our home. get the car in for an oil change or whatever the case is. And it creates a balance. And so, in a harmony between your personal life and this business. We started this off of like, hey, what's a kind of, a secret sauce? You know what the secret sauce of every great agent is? The ability to manage emotions. And it starts with you. Okay, it starts with you. You have to be able to manage your own emotions. Does that mean pack them up and hide them? Of course not. Okay, it means finding those channels. However, we have to know buying a home is 100% emotional. Selling a home's 1,000% emotional. Now, those are not statistical numbers. I made those up. However, for those of us, thank you, because people walk in a home and they either say, I could see my life here. That's an emotional connection. And then we know the roller coaster. You talked about this earlier about how we do this. We do the Zillow leads, and we know in this business and in a lot of entrepreneurial lives, you pour it on for all the marketing and all this stuff, and then you get bogged down with all the operational things and all the business that you created, and then it's a cycle. And so this emotional roller coaster of I can hear the clicking, click, 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 click as you head up to the top. We found the right house. It's amazing, Cory. We love it. Let's go ahead and get it under contract. Wow. And then inspection. And then boom. We know that emotional roller coaster is on its way down. And that's where that's the first place where we really have to step in. And on the other side of that emotional roller coaster is us putting our inspection objections in. And there's the people that have say, well, what do you mean there's a problem with the roof? It's fine. I've been here for 35 years. The roof's fine. What do you mean there's a problem with the electrical? It works fine. I run a toaster and a blow dryer at the same time. And so it's like we have to be that emotional connector as well. So that is really what separates the good from the great. And so I want to engage my clients in that way. And I also show them how to methodically educate people throughout the process. Yeah, sure, I've got a 16-page showing guide of the different types of floors and doors and countertops and cabinets and blah, blah, blah. And that's great. However, we have to set those expectations early and often and again to prep people for that like 30-day run that we have to get a home from contract to close. So,
Well, this has been so much fun. Time has flown by, and people can find you on Instagram at Cory the Guide. Anything else you'd like to add?
that's it, Christina. Thanks for having me and thanks for rapping with me a little bit here. I'm excited about our industry and all the changes that are happening. Change is always great. So, for anybody out there that's looking to embrace this market right now, reach out to one of the two people on this podcast. We're here. We've got big hearts for our industry and for the people that want to go on the adventure. So, thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure. I look forward to the next time.
Thank
So
you.
long.
And Real Estate Rockstars, this is Christina Leavenworth. It has been a blast. We'll hang out next week.